I have a challenge for the 12s today, and hopefully there are more than 12 of you listening to the words coming out of my mouth. I want to see if we can set our likes record for the month of January. The end of the month, almost here, the most likes we've had on a single video this month. Not bad, 1,003, but I know we can do better. Let's get at least 1,500 likes on today's video. If we do, I, your fearless leader, will reward you with a mock draft very soon. So the challenge is out there. Let's see if you guys can make it happen. Like the video, we'll get started with today's show. Some difficult decisions to be made this offseason for your Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are going to break down 4 things that John Schneider and Mike Macdonald have to decide in the very near future for Seattle. So without further ado, let's jump right to it and get started. We begin with Geno Smith at the quarterback position. What does the future hold for Geno Smith? We've heard Mike Macdonald say multiple times in recent weeks that he doesn't want Geno to go anywhere, that he would like to see Geno be his quarterback next season, but he has also made it known that ultimately isn't his final say, that it is going to have to be a collective agreement. And on top of that, you're looking at the extension and Geno wanting to get paid. There's a lot of variables and factors involved here. When you look at Geno's resume, he's been solid. 2-time Pro Bowler, NFL Comeback Player of the Year, completions percentage leader in 2022, took the Seahawks to the playoffs a couple years ago. 4 games over 500 as the Seahawks starting quarterback. And his numbers have not been bad by any stretch of the imagination. This past season, over 70% completion percentage, over 4,300 yards, 21 touchdowns. Did throw 15 interceptions, including 5 in the red zone. That certainly needs work, no question about it. But with all that said, I think what's going to happen is that Geno will get extended. And what I would say the most likely scenario to come out of this is that the Seahawks set themselves up for Geno to be kind of year to year. It might be like a 2-year extension, but then there's a team option or there's a way to get out of it. You may be the biggest Geno Smith fan in the world, and I think even the biggest Geno fans can sit here and admit, yeah, he's 34. He's not getting any younger by any stretch. Eventually, things will catch up at some point, and you can't keep him forever. I think that's ultimately going to be the decision. They will extend him. I don't expect a long-term deal, but I do expect an extension nonetheless. Your turn to weigh in on our pinned comment today. Should the Seahawks extend Geno Smith or not? I'm giving you 2 options here. You have the choice. You can either type E for extend or you can type D for don't. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know. E for extend, D for don't. Number 2, what to do with Tyler Lockett? What should Seattle do when it comes to their oldest receiver on this roster? Tyler Lockett, it's been a great run for him in Seattle since joining this Seahawks team in the mid-2010s, and he has done everything the right way. He has been a great person, a great leader in the locker room. He has been very reliable. I have nothing but positive things to say about Tyler Lockett and what he's done. Like, his resume doesn't even tell the full story. The consistency that he had, all those 1,000-yard seasons. But then 2024 happened, and we saw Tyler Lockett take a significant step back where he was passed up by JSN on the depth chart. His numbers when it came to receiving yards and catches and touchdowns, everything took a significant step back. Tyler Lockett wasn't bad by any stretch, but he certainly wasn't his former self. And you keep in mind, too, that he has an upcoming cap hit next season of over $30 million. I think Tyler Lockett is going to get cut. And I do not think that he is returning to Seattle. I've said this multiple times on this program before. There's just no reason to pay him that type of money. And then there's going to be the folks out there that say, well, you could restructure him and all that. look, Seattle doesn't have a ton of cap space, and there is going to be somebody, and a contending team, might I add, that will be willing to pay Tyler Lockett more money than what he could make in Seattle. So I think they're going to cut him and say goodbye, but it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a tough goodbye. We love him, but it's a decision they're going to have to make. Should the Seahawks cut Tyler Lockett? What do you guys think? Type C for cut, K for keep. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know which way you lean. Seahawks Today is bringing you nonstop Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else with our daily news and rumors. Live shows, not just once, but twice a week now on Mondays and Wednesdays. We're bringing you up-to-the-minute breaking news, Q&A mailbags. This is your offseason headquarters for all things Seattle Seahawks. If you're a Seahawks fan, you got to be subscribed. This is, I would argue, the biggest offseason ever for John Schneider, and we're going to be on top of it right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Now, let's turn our attention towards free agency. And for me in particular, it's not just the free agents that you are looking to potentially go shopping and buy, but the ones you are looking to re-sign. And there's two names in particular to watch for Seattle, starting with Ernest Jones the fourth, who Seattle was able to trade for from the Tennessee Titans just prior to the trade deadline. And Ernest Jones has been awesome. He was a game changer for the Seahawks defense. They went from 0 to 100 real quick with Ernest Jones, with how much he changed things for the Seattle defense and really just lit a fire in this team. And I think it's a very similar situation to Leonard Williams a season ago, where you traded for Leonard Williams at the trade deadline. Leonard Williams heads to free agency, but you weren't going to let him go anywhere else because you saw the impact, the difference he is. And I think the same can be said for Ernest Jones. He's just beginning his prime years. You can't let him leave. And then there's Jarran Reed. And Jarran Reed is a bit of a different story than Ernest Jones. His better years are more than likely behind him. It's been a decent career for Jarran Reed. Started his football journey in the National Football League in Seattle in 2016. Went on to play for the Chiefs and the Packers. And then just a couple of years ago, made his return to this Seahawks defense. And he's been sneaky good. He has been a difference maker and has helped reshape this defensive line with the additions of Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy. Jarran Reed's been a very nice fit, and he's a guy that doesn't cost you a whole lot either. This past season, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 5 tackles for loss. I think I would be very surprised if we see these two individuals in a different uniform next year. I think Jones and Reed are each going to return. I would expect Jones to get a long-term deal. I would expect a shorter deal for Reed, but nonetheless, I think both players are going to be back next season. We'll go over another big decision for Seattle in a moment, but first, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and Prize Picks has got 2 great things they're offering right now. They will give you up to 1,000 times your money, folks. You got the opportunity to do that. And on top of that, you can get $50 to play for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money. The big game is almost here, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. Prize Picks is also giving away a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you could win real cash. Here's what I'm looking towards. So, of course, I got to take the Patrick Mahomes free square. He's got to have half of passing yard. Okay, easy. I'm going to pair it up with Saquon Barkley. They get more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I think Saquon gets at least 1. And if both those hit, I turn $20 into $50. You can play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks Today. Last on our list of big decisions for Seattle to make, we turn our attention towards the NFL draft. And there has been discussions over this past week about potentially trading up from Seattle's position at 18 with the idea in mind of potentially getting one of those top quarterbacks like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And that heated up after Seattle, their management, had a meeting with Shedeur Sanders at the East-West Shrine game. Let's talk about both these individuals here, starting with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders had a very successful career playing for Jackson State, then at Colorado, and was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year this year. A lot of attention on Shedeur Sanders with playing under his father and all the bright lights and the spotlight that was on that Colorado program. But I'll say this, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, he rose to the occasion this year, and he was brilliant, and he was very clutch in some key moments throughout the season this year. And he was very accurate. Completion percentage over 74% this year, 41 total touchdowns. He did throw 10 interceptions, but I like what I saw from Shedeur Sanders. I thought he was very solid throughout this season, and he's got a bright future potentially in the National Football League. Then there's Cam Ward, who played this past year for Miami. Could we see a potential return to the Pacific Northwest, where he spent 2 seasons playing for Washington State? Cam Ward in Miami as a whole had a breakout season as he was named the ACC's Player of the Year, also won the Davey O'Brien and the Manning Award as well. And his numbers, just a true dual threat. 43 total touchdowns, over 200 rushing yards on the ground, over 4,300 yards, a 67% completion percentage. Cam Ward was fantastic this year. So with that said, there's really only 2 options potentially worth trading up for. It would cost an arm and a leg for Seattle to potentially move up. I think they're going to stay at 18. And what I hope is that they draft an offensive lineman with that 18th overall pick. That is what I am hoping and praying for. It may be tempting to go with Cam and Shedeur, but I don't think now's the time to make that big jump up at this point, considering what you would have to sacrifice of your first, probably a third, and then maybe giving up Geno or DK in the process as well. Should the Seahawks trade up in the NFL draft? What do you guys think? Do you like the idea of moving up to go get one of those quarterbacks? Type Y for yes, in for no, weigh in, let us know. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.